You know that feeling, right? You're scrolling online late at night, and then bam, you see an image that just makes your blood run cold. They're the ghost stories of our generation, but instead of being told around a campfire, they're shared in forums and group chats.
Maybe it was this face that got you. That bleached white skin, those huge dark eyes that just stare right through you. And that smile. You just can't forget that smile.
Or, hey, maybe it was this guy. The tall, faceless figure just lurking in the background of old photos. Almost out of focus. Super creepy. Or how about this one? What looks like a perfectly normal family photo completely ruined by, well, whatever that horrifying thing is dropping in for a visit.
These images have been haunting the internet for years, and they've become our modern folklore. But here's the thing, they aren't real glimpses into some supernatural world. So let's pull back the curtain and find out where these digital nightmares actually came from.
So our first stop is the world of creative challenges. These monsters weren't accidents, and they weren't mysterious sightings. Nope, these were deliberately crafted pieces of art designed from the get-go to scare us.
This right here is one of the original captions that was posted with the first Slenderman images. It was so masterfully written, it feels completely authentic, like you've just stumbled upon a lost piece of evidence from some horrible, forgotten tragedy.
But the real story, it's way less supernatural. Turns out, back in June 2009, the Something Awful forums held a Photoshop contest. The challenge was simple: create a paranormal-looking image. And that's it. A user named Victor Surge submitted 2 eerie black and white photos, and just like that, an internet legend was born. And what happened next is just incredible. It shows how fast an idea can spread online. From a simple forum post, Slenderman just exploded into this huge mythology with its own video games and web series. But tragically, it also crossed over into the real world, which just goes to show how powerful these digital stories can really become.
Okay, here's another one you've probably seen floating around. This deeply unsettling doll, known as Dolphing. The story that usually comes with it is about some kind of bizarre experiment, but the real story is actually pretty hilarious.
You see, this whole thing started as a kind of creative rebellion. Back in 2004, on the Japanese forum 2chan, someone posted a photo of an already weird-looking doll and challenged people to use their Photoshop skills to make it cuter. Well, the internet being the internet, they did the exact opposite. They competed to make it as terrifying as possible. And this monster is the result of that challenge going horribly right.
All right, next up, let's talk about what happens when original art gets stolen, totally stripped of its context, and given a brand new, terrifying life of its own online.
This is the infamous Cooper family photo. The story everyone knows is that a family so excited about their new home in Texas took this picture. But it wasn't until they got the film developed that they saw it, a horrifying figure falling from the ceiling that nobody had seen in the room.
But this isn't a ghost story. It's a story of pure artistic genius from way before Photoshop was a thing. For a college art project back in 1981, the creator, Richard Ramsdell, used this incredibly clever trick. He took an old family photo, one he wasn't even in, projected it upside down onto a wall, then posed in front of it as the falling body. He just took a picture of the whole scene. The ghost? It was the artist himself standing in front of his own brilliant illusion.
And then there's this face, Eyeless Jack. For years, this thing just floated around the internet, totally anonymous. It was just a face with no name and no story, just this pure, unfiltered sense of dread.
Turns out this legend was created in a 2-step process. First, an artist named Pirate Kashi created the digital artwork, but then a friend posted it online without crediting him, so it became this orphan image, this internet ghost. Years later, in 2012, a writer stumbled upon that uncredited picture and wrote the now famous creepypasta, which is just internet slang for a horror story, giving that anonymous face a truly horrifying new identity.
Now, this next batch of images, they weren't accidents, and they weren't stolen art. Oh no. These were nightmares designed from the very beginning to deceive us and to go viral.
The story is absolutely wild. Thousands of people all over the world who have never met each other all claim to have dreamed of this exact same man's face. There was even a website, thisman.org, that was set up to collect all the sightings.
But the reality is actually just as fascinating as the myth. This whole thing was an ingenious viral marketing project cooked up by an Italian sociologist named Andrea Natella. He wanted to study how stories and ideas spread online, so he created the perfect bait. It really makes you wonder, though. Did people only start dreaming of him after they saw the picture?
And here we have the rake. The story goes that this is a real creature, captured by a trail camera in the middle of the night. For a long time, this one single photo was held up as the definitive proof that this monster was really out there.
Well, the truth is, this was basically a group project in modern myth-making. Back in 2005, users on a forum decided it would be fun to invent a totally new urban legend from scratch. They wrote fake eyewitness accounts, created a whole backstory, and then somebody cleverly photoshopped an image of an animal to create the monster's iconic portrait. All right, we've still got a few iconic images left to solve, so let's do a rapid-fire round and uncover the final truths behind the terror. Ready? First up, Jeff the Killer. The popular story that it's a photoshopped picture of a bullied girl? Totally false. The image actually first showed up on a Japanese website way back in 2005, and we still don't know who created it. And Momo? Not some demonic curse, but an incredible sculpture made by a Japanese special effects company. Okay, next. That terrifying face from the Russian sleep experiment? That's not a victim of some gruesome test. It's actually a life-sized Halloween animatronic prop called Spasm. And finally, that creepy, empty yellow space known as the backrooms? It's not another dimension. It's a real place you can actually go to. It's the Holiday Inn at London's Heathrow Airport.
So when you look at all of these, a really clear picture starts to form. From Photoshop contests and brilliant art projects to these super elaborate hoaxes, none of the monsters are real. But the stories we tell about them, the fear they inspire, and the creativity they spark, that stuff is very, very real. They're our modern folklore, born from pixels instead of campfires. Which really only leaves one question. What on earth is the internet going to dream up next?